Good morning, PASW family and friends. Happy Wednesday. It's a Motivation Wednesday. And I am inviting you today to my Rainbow Butterfly Cafe. So I'm standing in the cafe, the rainbow ceiling, and this is the virtual cafe. But the Rainbow Butterfly Cafe is my entertainment and consulting company. A lot of the staff listen to the work we do here, work on projects outside of here. And one of the things I do is I do a lot of speaking and workshops on resiliency, feeling good about yourself. I like to do these on what I call my Rainbow Butterfly Cafe. So that's our background for today. So before we get to our Motivation Wednesday for today, let's do a little moving and grooving. Okay? All right, yeah, let's bring this to us down. All right, good. Let's take a deep breath and blow out. Another deep breath and blow out. Like I said, guys, today I'm in the Rainbow Butterfly Cafe. That is my edutainment, production, and consulting company. In addition to the work I do at the studio and acting, I also do a lot of consulting and speaking on diversity and disability equity, ensuring that all people with disability have equal and fair treatment. So I do a lot of workshops on that, and I create content. One of the things I create on Wednesdays is a vlog called A Morning Cup of Joy. And one of the reasons I so believe in how important it is to believe in yourself and empower yourself. You know, life can be really hard. We're going through some tough times. We're going through some tough times in the industry right now. So I really believe part of that is motivating yourself. Like I said, the 5 action tools are imagination, your voice, your emotions and feelings, and your movement, your physicality. And the 5th tool is your self-empowerment. I found a wonderful graduation speech. Maybe you've been to graduation, either your own or a family member. When someone graduates, they usually have a special speaker who will come to motivate the graduates and the audiences. I found a great one by Kristen Bell, who was on Veronica Mars. She was in Frozen. She played Elsa, and Frozen did the voice. she's a wonderful actress. So she did a motivational a speech a few years ago for graduating the 2019 graduating at class at USC. So I'm gonna share that with you. She said a lot of wonderful things, and I think they're important to hear. So let's listen to that graduation speech, and I'll see you on the other side.
Hello. Good morning, class of 2019. Thank you so much for having me. It is an incredible honor to stand here before you today. Thank you to the faculty, to the guests, the families, and to all the gorgeous students among us who are, beyond the shadow of a doubt, nursing raging hangovers and praying that this Disney princess keeps the let it go metaphors to a minimum, so I see you. I got you. I want to start today by sharing a secret about myself that you might not know. I did not graduate from college. Whoopsies. Dean is in a full flop sweat thinking, oh my God, nobody double checked. I had a feeling when I saw her outfit, because no one with a respectable degree would wear hoops of that size. Who let her in here? But that leads me to another thing about me, which is I'm nice. And as it turns out, when you are nice, people tend to overlook a lot. In some cases, this could include experience, credentials, not having your driver's license at airport security. And yes, that's a true story. Twice. And you might say, Kristen, no, that's not a result of being nice. That's the result and the privilege of being a recognizable person. And okay, that may be true, but I will counter with my husband, who is also highly recognizable and doesn't get away with anything. Literally 10 out of 10 times, he is getting a pat down at TSA. And that's because he's just not as nice as me. Don't get me wrong, I love him. He's brilliant, he's hilarious, he's literally my favorite person. But is he the nicest person? I don't know, guys. I just don't know. And I tell you this at the risk of divorce, because I can't offer you the tricks of how to wield your shining diploma to ensure success. I can't tell you the answer to the age-old actor's dilemma. Should I move to New York? Should I stay in LA? And for goodness sakes, I cannot tell you what a Magna Carta is or what it even does. I literally don't know. I don't have to answer any of those questions, and let me tell you a secret, nobody has the answer to those questions. My sole trick to share with you is when you listen, when you really listen to people, when you listen as fiercely as you want to be heard, when you respect the idea that you are sharing the earth with other humans, when you lead with your nice foot forward, you'll win. Every time. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it comes back to you when you need it. We live in an age of instant gratification, right? Of immediate likes. And it is uncomfortable to have to wait to see the dividends of your kindness, but I promise you, it will appear exactly when you need it. It will appear at the precise moment when you pass gas in an elevator and everyone blames your husband instead of you. That is when the boomerang of kindness hits you back. It's also a very true story, numerous times over. Though it wouldn't be fair if I just waxed on about kindness and I didn't also include its inevitable downside. It's relevant to note that sometimes when you choose nice, it does come with a price tag. Being nice sometimes means avoiding the obvious joke. Like, for instance, I'm me, and I've chosen this path, this speech, to be nice at an institution like this. I am choosing not to reference Aunt Becky in any way, shape, or form. Thank you. In fact, I'm so nice, I'm not even going to mention my actual Aunt Becky for fear it is simply too close to the fire. And let me be real, removing those jokes is a bit of a sacrifice, but But dare I say, prioritizing your emotional intelligence over your logical intelligence can at times feel like a compromise, but it does pay off. You were right, pay off. It was not the best choice of words for this particular point, but I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I am trying. And you know what? I should have led with that. I am by no means perfect. I am also not telling you what to do. I mean, my second child is the result of unprotected makeup sex in a hot tub in the Hawaiian Islands. I am in no position to give advice. Hand to God. I can't do it. All I can do is share my experience with you. My husband always says, if you see someone who has what you want, ask them how they got it. Unfortunately, Beyonce has yet to reply to my email, so I don't have all the answers yet, but she will. Like, don't worry, she's definitely going to, so I'm pretty sure. I say this because if there is anything about my life that seems even slightly aspirational, hopefully some of this will be helpful to you. And if not, feel free to slowly pull the flask hiding in your underwear out and just have it. I'm not your mom, you know what I mean? If it's not hurting anyone, great, get yours. And you know what? Maybe share some with your neighbors. Now, the tricky thing about finding someone who has what you want is that you also have to know what you want, right? So that seems simple enough, but it's actually very hard because our brains are arrogant assholes. The brain thinks it's running the show, but the heart is secretly pulling the strings. It's very true. Our brains are the King Joffrey of our bodies, and our hearts are the Granny Tyrell, right? Very true. We think we know what we want, but we often have no idea what we need. And because of that, we often approach life with one goal, and we end up finding our real purpose along the way. When I left New York and I came to LA, I had the singular goal of becoming the lead on a TV show. I had gained some experience in New York playing a naive, weed-obsessed sexpot in Reefer Madness. I thought, perfect, I'm ready for Los Angeles. Surely I will be embraced immediately. So I hopped on a plane, I arrived in the land where the streets are soaked in sunshine and self-tanner residue. I had the confidence of an overserved freshman at a frat party. I was like, here I am, and I began the process of auditioning, which it's really just a condensed way to say driving back and forth to Santa Monica in rush hour traffic, but the feedback that I received was that I was always either too young, too old, too cute, too plain, too smart, too ditzy. It was as if Goldilocks were every casting director, and I just couldn't nail it. And eventually I started booking some co-star and guest star roles, but my coveted lead eluded me, and I would go to bed negotiating with the universe. I would say, okay, if I could just book the lead on CIS NCIS ER Miami, I promise I will decrease my carbon footprint by at least 6 in the next calendar year. So clearly, I know absolutely nothing about the measure of carbon. I find it almost as confusing as the concept of the Magna Carta. But then it happened. I was cast on Veronica Mars, which was my first show, and everything I ever wanted was in front of me. I was earning a real paycheck. I was the lead of a TV show. I owed the universe all my carbon. But once we started shooting, something very unexpected happened to me. Well, 2 unexpected things. The first was Ryan Hansen, who played Dick Casablancas. His hair. It was the exact, almost too accurate, too on-point shade of surfer blonde boy. It was like the kind that gives you PTSD from walking along Venice Beach, that you're just like, whoa. It was terrifying, and I loved it. The second was that, despite the recognition of my dream, I wasn't happy, like at all. My arrogant little asshole brain could not comprehend what was happening. I was like, how was this possible? This is what I wanted and what I needed, right? And yet I had it all, and I was lonelier than I had ever been. And it wasn't until the boy with the surfer hair invited me to his birthday party, after hours offset, away from work, that everything changed. He wasn't just inviting me to his birthday party. He was inviting me to his life party, to his community. And I finally felt at home, and I made some of the best friends that I still have to this day. In retrospect, I know it wasn't the role I was looking for. It wasn't a paycheck or a titular character. What I really needed was friendship. So I want to stress to you, build your tribe. They will keep you alive. I'm also pretty sure that's what Beyonce would say. Speaking of pillars of an American entertainment, it is now the portion of the morning where I remind everyone that life is 50 Shades of Grey. I have to assume I'm the first speaker in an academic institution that has referenced the book 50 Shades of Grey, but we have already established that I dropped out of college. I have no right to be here, so this is where we've arrived. I don't know what you want me to do. In my life, there is only one concept that I have determined. It's that everything is gray. Every person, every question, every tragedy, even every victory, they all have nuance. Pay attention to the nuance. You all in this room, I feel like, know that better than anyone. You know it in your bones because you've devoted your time to building stories, building people. It's what you do. You are people architects. You read a script and you construct a walking, breathing human from the ground up. When we create characters, we are encouraged to make them three-dimensional, right? In acting, two-dimensional characters, they're at the least boring and at the most extreme irresponsible. We're told to embrace complicated characters. We are taught that you can't accurately play a villain until you find one thing about him that you love. One of my favorite producers has a poster over his desk that reads, "What does the villain want?" Because in art, we recognize all characters start with an empathetic motivation. On stage, we prioritize listening because we know the livelihood of the show relies on it. We are good at remembering those things when we make art. But in our daily lives, we tend to forget. When we shift from the stage to reality, nuance seems to get lost in the shuffle. In real life, we don't look for the one thing we love about each person. Complicated characters get cast out, and we view things two-dimensionally. It's also becoming increasingly apparent we're not listening to each other, even though, like on stage, the livelihood of this entire grand show relies on it. The great news is we can all choose, right? When hard moments arise, you can lean on the experience you've gleaned in these past 4 years, and you can choose the nuance. You can choose complexity over simplicity. You can listen to others with open ears as if your next move depends on it. You can Sandy Meisner your life. So class of 2019, as you move your tassel from the left to the right and officially take the steps forward toward your forever, I encourage you, take them with your nice foot. And if you take away one thing from this, remember what I said earlier. If it's not hurting anyone, great, get yours. And maybe share some with your neighbor. Thank you and congratulations.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I love what you said about listening. How important it is to listen to each other, especially the actor who are on stage. How important it is to be kind to one another, to build your tribe and your support team. And that's what you have here at your studio. You have a tribe. I talk and I do what we do together. The staff, we're a wonderful tribe for each other, as well as being a tribe and support group for you guys. I want to say this cafe was a gift from Sardal. He created this for me. It's a virtual cafe, but that was one of the ways of him supporting my dream, and we all support each other. And that's another thing Kristen does is very important, as well as creating a nuanced character. To use that word, nuanced. And nuance means very detailed, not just, one or two, but a nuanced character has details. They're very specific. And so another thing you talked about was as actors, when we bring character to life, we want them to be very nuanced. So I hope you enjoyed what you had to say. Put in the chat what what's your favorite thing that you said? Share that with me in the chat. Alright? Okay, guys, we're gonna do some more moving and grooving. I'll see you tomorrow in person on Friday with a brand new class on
Diamond, and they don't make you like they used to. You're never going out of style. Ooh, pretty baby, this world got it gone crazy. The way you save me, who can blame me when I just wanna make you smile? I wanna do you like Michael, I wanna kiss you like Prince. Let's get it on like Marvin Gaye, like that the way I wrote a song for you like this. You're over my head, I'm out of my mind, thinking I was wrong.
Have a great day, guys. Love you, miss you.